I said my sobriety date is March 29, 1990. I crawled into these rooms desperate, hopeless, with those four horsemen, bewilderment and frustration and isolation and so much anger and bitterness. And I am certainly a different woman who is standing before you today. And I have to share what it was like, because the doctor's opinion talks about depth and weight. And sometimes before I share, sometimes I want to go rated R, adult content, nudity, violence, and I want to do a disclaimer. But this is my experience, and I'm sharing it in a general way. And as intense as it sounds, that's general. I'm like, really? And when I talk about what it was like, I still feel like I'm talking about a stranger, and I'm talking about myself in third person, and it just really trips me out. It's just really trippy with the life that I came from. It's just crazy. We talk about our relationship with alcohol, and when I got here, they told me to examine my relationship with alcohol. And the way I was able to do that was to listen to many of you. And I would listen to people in the room share what it was like, what happened, and what it's like now. And as I listened, it would unfold for me. My reality would just fall apart. Because my alcoholic life was a normal life. I'm born addicted, so alcohol was administered to me. And I go, as the story goes, because for the beginning part of my relationship with alcohol, I don't remember it because I was an infant. But according to my mother, I'm a product of rape. My father certainly has a different perspective. She was doing what she needed to do. I don't get into that between them. I remember Abby found it out recently. I was playing a CD for my dad, and I said I'm a product of rape, and my dad was like, I didn't rape your mother. I was like, okay, great. What happened, man? Anyway, but according to my mother, I'm a product of rape, and she hated the fact that I was born, that I was in her belly. And she did everything possible to abort me and stick hangers up in her. Like, she just tried to get rid of me. She too is an alcoholic, and she took a lot of drugs and a lot of pills, and she was very suicidal. She tried to kill herself. She tried to do many things. Needless to say, I was meant to be here because I was born. And I was born a preemie, and I was born very sick. And my mother left me in the hospital. She said, I don't want anything to do with it. I don't want to see it. I don't want to talk to it. If you want it, then you need to figure out what to do with it. And she left. And it was my grandmother and my father that went to the hospital to pick me up. And according to them, when they brought me home, I would cry and just cry. I was very, very sick. And I spent most of my childhood years in the hospital, all the time, going in and out of hospitals. And the only way they found that would keep me quiet or that would allow me to calm down was to give me alcohol. And so they gave me alcohol in my bottle, and they would always put it on my gums. And so instead of getting juice or water or milk, I was given alcohol in the bottle. They didn't water it down. I don't know why. They didn't mix it with something else. They just made sure that my bottle had alcohol. And as long as I was sucking on that bottle with alcohol, then all was well. According to my mother and my father and my grandmother, they were tired of the fact that my mother didn't want to touch me and she didn't want anything to do with me. So they decided to play a trick on her. And they decided to leave the house and leave me alone with her. And that eventually she would have to pick me up. My mother said I was crying and I was screaming in the crib. She heard the screaming. She didn't know how to make it stop. She put the pillow over her head. She couldn't shut out the noise. So she went to the crib, she put the pillow over my face, couldn't shut out the noise, and she remembered what my dad and my grandmother said, if you give her alcohol, she'll be quiet. And from that day moving forward, my mother made sure that I had alcohol in my system at all times, all day, every day. So I drank alcohol to breathe. And I know for many years I used to feel bad because I would sit in the rooms and I would hear people say, I can't blame my family for my alcoholism. And I would reparrot that and I would repeat that because that's what you said. And after a while I started going, that's not true. I didn't give myself alcohol. Anyway. I did not do that. I didn't do it because I was uncomfortable and I felt awkward and I had to fill up a hole. I didn't do it because I wanted to be taller or prettier. Alcohol was a part of my bloodstream, and it was administered me and it was given to me. Now I've come to understand that I'm an alcoholic because I like the effect that alcohol produces, and that I'm restless, irritable, and discontent unless I find that ease and comfort that comes immediately with the first few drinks, and that I am bodily and mentally different from my fellows. My brother grew up in the same household. Even though my mother didn't administer alcohol to him, you call it adult children of alcoholics. My brother doesn't like alcohol. He doesn't want anything to do with it. He has a little bit of beer and his hand starts tingling and he notices and freaks out. That always cracks me up. I'm like, my hand's tingling. You think I should drive? I'm like, oh no. You should stay put for a while. Sounds serious. I didn't notice my hand tingling, but anyway. So I always like to describe my relationship with alcohol like a love affair. Alcohol took care of me. Alcohol talked to me. It stroked me. At the same time, I grew up with a lot of abuse. And you call it, I learned words when I got to Alcoholics Anonymous. You call it dysfunctional home. I thought that was a normal home. I didn't know nothing about the word dysfunctional or unhealthy. But there was a lot going on in there. But I've understood that alcoholism affects all people, and it doesn't really matter. The insanity that was going on in my home was just what was going on in my home. But I've seen people be alcoholics who come from very healthy, loving parents. So this is just my experience. In my home, there was a lot of, you call dysfunction. There was a lot of physical abuse, sexual abuse. I don't know if I was sold. More is still to be revealed. It's just recently that I've even asked myself that question of how did that happen. It was my stepmother who recently said to me, why did so many people sexually abuse you and molest you? And how did that happen? And I didn't have an answer for her. Because I lost my virginity at 5. Because men and women took turns with my body and I went from room to room, or groups of people, I still don't know why that was. And if I made those arrangements or other people made those arrangements. I was picked on, I was spit on, I was told I was stupid, you're nothing, you're not enough, you're an idiot. Today it's real important that I'm clear that my name is Theresa, because I wasn't called that for a long, long time. So I like when people say, hey Theresa, like that's my name, because a long time I was many other names other than that. And so I was treated in some ways, I guess, like a pet. I don't know. I was beat on, I was kicked on, I was pushed in the corner. It was very strange, but at the same time, I wasn't present really for any of those experiences. You see, alcohol talked to me, and alcohol used to say to me, if nobody loves you, I love you. If nobody wants you, I want you. And you're going to be all right, and I'm going to take care of you. And you don't ever have to worry about anything. And these are the conversations I remember having with alcohol. Alcohol used to tell me it's just you and me against the world. And I just need you to put a smile on your face, and you fix your hair, and you fix your uniform or your clothes, and you go out there and you do what you gotta do. And so I danced with alcohol for a long time. And at no time did I question the life that I lived. I didn't say something's wrong with my family, or perhaps I need to run away and join the circus, or I don't need to do this, or something's wrong with what's happening to me. As I said, I was very sickly. I was in and out of hospitals often. I was always, of course, malnourished. I don't know why. I guess I didn't go into child protective services. I still don't know why that wasn't the case. Because it was obvious. I went to see a lot of therapists. I remember that. I seen a lot of two-way mirrors. I was used as specimens, as an object of observation. I seen a lot of ink blots. I'm still waiting for somebody to explain to me what's up with the butterfly ink blots. Nobody has been able to tell me what that's all about. So I just keep sharing it, and one day somebody explain it to me. That this ink blot, looks like a butterfly, is going to change my life. I don't know. But they do it all the time. What's this ink blot? They all look the same. Whatever. And I do remember going up to a Fresh Air Fund program. It's upstate New York, where they take inner city kids, and I would go to upstate New York and ride donkeys and make apple pies with some woman named Bunny, whatever. I don't remember going, wow, this is better than a drink, you know. Stop drinking and ride donkeys and make apple pies. I had mentorship programs. I had big sister programs. I know I had teachers that cared. I remember my 6th grade teacher would take me to the hospital because sometimes I was so brutally, I don't know why I would go to her, but I would be so brutally raped that I would be bleeding, and I would go to her and she would try to help me. And so I had a lot of people in my life who cared. And this is in hindsight. I certainly don't remember it at the time. I don't remember saying I have all this help around me and support. What helped me and allowed me to get up in the morning and to get through 24 hours in a day was alcohol. And at no time did I ever think I was going to change my relationship with alcohol. Was I going to alter it or believe that I no longer needed to drink? I didn't do a New Year's resolution. I didn't say tomorrow is going to be different. I didn't switch my drinks. I was consistent with what I was doing, how I was doing it, and I knew that I was going to die that way. As so many other members of my family have died as a result of this disease. Everyone dies from kidney failure, cirrhosis of the liver, falling down, cracking your skull, ODing, getting shot. And when you die in my family, we put your drink or your drug of choice in the coffin, we take pictures with you, and we believe that you rest even more peaceful. I remember when my aunt died in Puerto Rico, she did not look right, she did not have a Budweiser can in that coffin. And she just looked miserable in there. Until I put that can of Budweiser and she like smiled. It was like everything changed. I don't know, she looked pretty. She was just laying there differently. And I was like, now Kiki's okay, you know? My uncles are heroin addicts, dope fiends, gangsters, it's very interesting. I respected them. I don't remember looking at them poorly. My uncles would pass out all the time, and I would just kind of be like, that's my Uncle Peter. Because usually when you shoot heroin, for some reason, you don't finish your conversation, but you know where you left off when you come back. And so, oh yeah, that's Peter. He'll be back in a minute. We'll finish where you left off. So I don't remember being like embarrassed. You know what I'm saying about my family? I don't remember going, oh, I can't bring my friends home from school. I went to Catholic school, and I would bring my friends home, and they would just see all this insanity going on, and they just wouldn't come back, and I didn't care. And they're not my friends no more, and I'm hanging out with them no more. And at the same time, all my friends are 15, 20 years my senior. I hung out a lot with my mother's friends, and I hung out in shooting galleries, and crack houses, and bars and clubs. I still like the glistening of the lights behind the mirror, and the dimness of the lights, and there's some familiarity about bars and the red leather seats and the dirty rugs that feel very homey to me. I tend to keep my home in a sense, you know what I mean? It's something I have to learn, like let the light in and let it shine, because it feels real comforting in that cocoon that I grew up so many years. It's real familiar. And so this was my world and this was my life, and I didn't want to change it. That still trips me out a little bit. Talk about the alcoholic life being the normal life. Kitty was asking me about, can't differentiate the true from the false. I have no idea what's real or what isn't. My reality has been so distorted. All my tools that were given to me in life, or the